Hi there. If your week feels clear on Monday, but chaotic by Wednesday, I'm here to tell you it is not a motivation problem, and it's probably not because you're bad at planning. What's usually happening is a structure failure. And I wanted to use this session to explain why this happens, especially for ADHD brains, and why your week keeps collapsing halfway through. So here is the pattern that I keep seeing over and over again. Monday starts with good intentions. You have your coffee, you have your list, you know of all the things that is going on. You might even time block, and you feel optimistic by everything that you are going to knock out and get done this week. But then Wednesday shows up, and suddenly new things have come in, your list has doubled, you're not sure what matters most, the prioritization is all over the place, you're putting out fires, you feel behind, and you start reacting instead of choosing. Now, don't feel bad about this, because this is actually majority of people in general. But then the shame spiral starts creeping in. We feel like we can't keep up. That cycle isn't random, it's actually very predictable. So, what's actually happening is that there are four forces usually driving this, especially if you're neurodivergent. So, first of all, there's ADHD decision fatigue. So, the ADHD brain burns through decision energy very, very quickly. If your week isn't clearly structured, your brain is going to constantly ask, what should I work on now? Is this more important? Am I already behind? What am I forgetting? What's am I making for dinner tonight? All of that kind of stuff. That constant choosing is exhausting. So by Wednesday, your brain is already mentally tired. Screw that. By 5 o'clock on Monday, your brain is already mentally tired, even if you've technically been productive, answering emails, doing those things. Second thing is that you have too many open loops in your brain. Open loops are unfinished and undefined tasks. Things like work on your course, fix your website, figure out marketing. Those really aren't tasks. They're very vague pieces of information. It's not specific, and they're mental weight. When everything is vague, your brain treats everything as urgent because you cannot measure what's more important than the other. So you just start jumping between things based on what you think is the higher emergency at that point, and you never feel settled. Third, there's undefined priorities. We kind of just touched on that. But most people say at the beginning of the week, these are my goals for this week, or their boss says it, or somebody. But they never actually define what done actually looks like. So you can have a goal going for something, but if you don't actually know what done looks like, that goal can keep moving out and you don't know if it's actually done. If your brain actually can't see that finish line, it can't register progress. So even when you work hard, it still feels like nothing has moved. And that creates a lot of frustration. Another thing that us neurospicy people do is our brains are very, very good at staying busy. We're good at answering emails, good at researching. I am particularly good at what I call procrastinating, where it's kind of a researching piece of the puzzle. Organizing things, tweaking systems, rearranging tools, recreating tools, but busy is not the same as intentional. If your week isn't anchored around 1 to 3 clear outcomes, your brain defaults to whatever task is visible or urgent. So again, by Wednesday, you're exhausted and you're not even sure what actually moved forward. So let's talk about how to think about this in another way. Your week isn't collapsing because you lack discipline. It's collapsing because your system requires way too many decisions in order to move forward. A good weekly system should be simple. It should filter out what matters, contain what doesn't matter, define what done means, and limit how much you're actually focusing on. So clarity reduces that overwhelm far more than motivation ever will. In the next video, I'm going to walk you through a simple weekly clarity system that really helps to prevent this midweek collapse. But for right now, I want you to notice something. If your week keeps falling apart by Wednesday, that's actually really useful data. It means your system is asking your brain to make too many decisions in real time. And ADHD brains don't thrive in that constant decision mode. They thrive in clear structure. Even if we push against clear structure, we know that if that structure's there, we can fall back on it and be able to depend on it in order to get to the next step. So your week doesn't need more effort, it needs clearer edges. And once those edges exist, everything starts to feel a lot lighter.